A natural disaster becomes a national crisis. Tonight, devastating floods continue to rampage through Queensland towns. Our reporters are standing by with the very latest on the victims and those still missing. This is a special broadcast of 9 News with Peter Overton live from Brisbane.
Good evening. We're here in Brisbane where a real disaster is unfolding and the scale is just staggering. 9 people are now confirmed dead. At least 4 of them are children. Another 66 people are missing. Dozens of towns are affected and now 32 suburbs of Brisbane are beginning to go under or are on high alert. We have reports from the worst hit areas including Dalby, Toowoomba, Grafton in New South Wales, Ipswich and of course Brisbane. As we've mentioned, the disaster has now spread across an incredibly large part of Queensland, but it all began in Toowoomba. That's where that powerful flash flood wreaked havoc as it ripped the heart out of the centre of that city yesterday afternoon.
I'm so glad
a deadly torrent.
That's coming fast.
Showing no mercy, the 8-metre-high wall of water surged through Toowoomba.
No. Oh, no.
You got it?
Yeah. Oh. Oh, my goodness.
Taking cars.
Oh, is there someone in there? Oh, no.
A water tank. This 4-wheel drive rode the muddy wave.
Go, buddy, go!
Then disappeared under the water.
Oh.
Most people left nature to its destructive course.
Don't, oh mate, don't, just let it go.
Others risked their lives to move vehicles to safety.
That is unbelievable.
It took just minutes for the damage to be done, cars like dominoes under the extreme force. Locals giving their own account as the disaster unfolded right before their eyes.
And we've just narrowly missed an incredible flash flood here that we're not sure where it's come from. It's just incredible.
And nothing was safe.
Oh, no, look.
Hey, look at that. There's a container.
There goes the container.
That's going to cause a bit of damage when it hits something.
A mother and her child were found dead in their car after the water surged through the CBD, and there are many, many more missing.
Given the circumstances, we hold very grave concerns for many of those people who are unaccounted for in this region.
Authorities had no warning. The freak wave was on its way.
I've never seen anything like that amount of water rise so rapidly. I've lived myself before on the banks of a creek, but I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I've lived here since '76 and I've never seen water like that before.
It was quite horrific. The cars may as well have been like kids' toys in a bathtub. I've just never seen anything move like that.
The torrent left so much destruction. Battered cars piled on top of one another. This road sliced in 2. Livestock has been stranded, houses ripped apart, businesses left to save whatever they can. The wall of this home was taken by the water, leaving a bedroom exposed. Even heavy vehicles weren't spared, and tonight a city of 90,000 people is on edge.
I'm still shaking. I'm still in shock, I think. It happened so quickly.
Downhill from Toowoomba, the people of Whithcott had a few minutes warning. The water was on its way. Within 2 hours it had passed, leaving a tiny town suffering. It's the 3rd time it's been flooded in 3 weeks.
This weather, I think, it might be breaking our hearts at the moment, but it will not break our will.
And Davina is now in the township of Warwick, which is about an hour south of Toowoomba. And Davina, they haven't experienced the brute force of those flash floods in Warwick, but a new emergency is unfolding.
Yeah, very much so, Peter. Behind me is the Condamine River and it is rising very, very rapidly. We were here a few hours ago. Those homes behind me were high and dry and now they are very fast being inundated with water. We arrived in town around 10:30 this morning. We were the very last car to be allowed into this city. Every road, every bridge around it has now been cut and the town has now been cut into 2, making matters even harder for emergency services. 3 weeks ago, Warwick flooded. It had a little bit of room to take that that water back there. Now, though, the ground is saturated and emergency services aren't really sure how high the Condamine River is going to peak tonight. Potentially 10 metres, maybe more so. And if it does, at least 150 homes are going to be inundated. Many, many businesses are going to be affected. The situation is critical across several other towns across the Darling Downs. Murphy's Creek is a little town just down the range from Toowoomba. It copped a lot of that water yesterday afternoon, and communication into that area is very, very hard at the moment. It's hard to know what's going on. Laidley is halfway between Toowoomba and Brisbane. We know at around 9:30 this morning the river there peaked, busted its banks. The town was inundated with water and residents were basically forced to flee to higher ground. Oakey is an area where my family live nearby. They're safe and well at the moment, but a number of other families have been forced to flee from their homes this afternoon, evacuated from on top of their rooftops. Pete, it's a critical situation tonight, and it is so sad to see so many families facing this heartbreak.
And we're thinking of those families tonight and in the days to come. Davina, thank you. Well, among the dead from these catastrophic floods are a woman and her 2 children, swept away in their car by the raging torrent in Grantham. Now, the Lockyer Valley town, which is east of Toowoomba, tonight remains cut off.
This was not the work of a flood in Grantham. It was so much worse. An inland tsunami, super rainstorm, whatever it was, it did this. The town resembles a cyclone disaster zone. This is the moment the water came, captured by local John King as he floated along on the roof of his car.
And
look at that car coming, look at that coming.
Cars pass him by. Somehow he clung to a tree until during the night help finally arrived.
The cars let go and they started floating off as well, so we jumped off the car roof. Dad managed to get in a gum tree and I got swept a bit further past, but managed to swim back to our house.
Emergency services lined the main Grantham road, getting stranded, suffering locals out any way they could. Dozens clung to the raised bucket of a front loader that pushed them to dry land. Swift water teams went from house to house, checking for signs of life, taking their chances in the dangerous waters. Every risk rewarded with rescue.
Seeing houses smashed up and people clinging to trees, you know, it's hard. Very hard. And I don't think I can come back here again.
They're unimaginable stories of survival told in the moments after they realised they would live.
My car went into the front window and I got about 4 cars in my backyard. I had a house down the backyard with a wife, husband and their child on top.
In that moment, for these people, it is utter relief.
Just the speed of it was just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
What were you thinking in that tree?
When is the next wave of water going to take me?
From there into town, every available vehicle used, even ours. It's now obvious the sheer force that swept through this town earlier today. The devastation is unbelievable. It's plain to see now, even in the dark of night, something very bad happened to Grantham today. Back at the evacuation centre up the road on high ground, people pack in with dogs, kids, a few mattresses, but one overriding emotion.
Oh, look, mate, we're alive is the main thing. This is my family here, my wife, 2 daughters, my 2 grandsons. We thought we were going to die.
We spotted John Mann and his family yesterday, clinging to the roof as they were winched to safety. His story, like so many others, one of survival against all the odds.
The kids had their floaties on that they played with, and we got a toy boat. And we stuck the 2 little boys in that, and we all clung onto that, hanging onto a post. But just standing there and watching all your 36 years of your dream home just gone. All your possessions just getting washed out the house. I mean, I'm not the only one. There's people have lost their lives in this tragedy, and there's little babies I know have drowned that parents just couldn't manage to save them.
But with every chopper arrival comes news of their neighbours who were left behind. Helicopters winched almost 50 from the local school, a refuge on high ground. It is a terrible time for this tiny town with broken homes and broken hearts. In Grantham, Cameron Price, 9 News.